Okay, welcome to my law school tips video, I guess we could call it. I've been wanting to make this video since my first year in law school ended in May, but I chose to hold off to just give myself a little time for my head to clear and to really reflect. And then I also thought it would be more appropriate to do it now in August when it's a bit more relevant because everyone's going back to school and maybe people are starting law school soon. Yeah, let's dive in. I have 6 tips, I guess you could call them. They're just 6 things I wish I knew before I started law school that I learned during and after my 1L year. I'm not gonna give you super specific tips on how to study whatever because every person's different, every law school's different, every professor's different, which actually kind of leads me into my first tip, which is that studying is not one size fits all. So what I mean by that is I just wish I had known sooner to talk to my professors and just flat out ask them what they like to see on a final, how they like it formatted, which part of the answer in an essay, for example, do they care about the most? Are they okay with you copying their rule statements if they gave you any, or do they like it in the student's own words, things like that? Do they dock points if your heading isn't a certain way? Just ask them. The worst a professor can do is say no, I don't give out that information, but most of them will probably just tell you. I had the most success on my finals where I did that and asked the professors, and I wish I had done that in all of my classes because I sort of like learned that by not realizing I was doing it, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh wait, I'm studying for this final and I know exactly how to study versus some that I didn't and I felt like I was guessing a little more on. So talk to your professors. That is probably the best tangible tip I can give from this video is ask them what they want. Okay, my next tip is to clerk as a 1L if you can. So I went into a job interview in like January or February and I thought it was a summer job I was interviewing for, but it actually turned out that they needed clerks during the semester. And I am so grateful that I got that opportunity. And I was only working 5 hours one day a week. It wasn't any big time commitment or anything, but I learned probably more from those 5 hours once a week than I was learning cumulatively in all my law school classes the second semester, because there's a common saying that law school teaches you how to think like a lawyer, but it doesn't teach you how to be a lawyer. In my, albeit limited experience, that's so true. So get out there and start learning how to be a lawyer if that's what you're going to law school for. Yeah, get out there, talk to, usually smaller firms will probably be more willing because bigger firms tend to have like codified systems in place regarding summer associates and stuff, but smaller firms tend to be a little more flexible. So just get out in your community, ask if they need a clerk. Chances are they'll be grateful for some intelligent but inexpensive labor. I will say with this tip though, check with your school's rules, because I know at my school, I go to ASU for law school, we were allowed to work, I think 10 hours was the limit, and that was only second semester. 1Ls weren't allowed to work first semester. So check with your school's rules and make sure you're not violating any rules, but if you are allowed to work, I would try to clerk as a 1L. Okay, my next tip is to manage expectations of people around you, friends, family, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. I have found that it is a lot easier to just be very explicit. Hey, I've got a paper due in 2 weeks. I'm gonna be totally MIA. See you at the end of the 2 weeks. Than it is to just keep saying, no, sorry, I can't tonight, or even like feeling guilted into saying yes and then not getting as much work done as you should have. So just be super clear. People understand that law students are really busy. So just manage expectations, and I think it leads to less disappointment on both ends and helps preserve your relationships, which are so helpful in law school. You need your support system, so be super clear about that. Okay, my next tip, I really don't mean to get too deep, but it is sort of like mental health based, I guess. Don't let law school define you, I guess is a good way to say it. So take a look before you start law school or right as your schedule gets going, and look at what things prior to law school made you happy, made you feel confident, helped you relax, things like that, and see what is a non-negotiable that needs to stay. You're certainly gonna have to give things up when you start law school. It's a huge time suck and it takes a lot of your attention. But the mental health statistics in law schools are so bad. I don't know if you've looked them up, but it's not good. And I think a big reason is because it's so easy to just become nothing other than a law student. So I just think you should make decisions and stick to them about what things need to be in your life. You know, for me, for example, I would say working out's a big one. I knew I wasn't gonna give that up going into law school, and I made sure to work out for the most part this semester. I'd say at least 5 days a week, and that's a non-negotiable. I will put down my studying or whatever, go make time for an hour to get to the gym and come home, and I know that I'm better off in the long run doing that and just getting away from things than just stewing in law school. I teach ballet once a week too. I chose not to give that up when I started law school. I love teaching, I love the kids I teach, and I have been a dancer my whole life. I still am a dancer, so even if I don't have time to like take class or choreograph and things like that, at least every week I'm in the studio for several hours teaching, getting around dance, things like that, and it really helps take my mind off of it. So don't lose yourself just because of law school. I feel like that's a fast track to pretty poor mental health. So decide what things you want to keep in, but don't take that too far. Like, you still need to study. But okay. Next tip, easy to say, really tough to do: don't compare yourself. You shouldn't do it in any scenario in life, but in law school, really try not to do it. They rank you in law school, they push comparison on you, like that's how it goes. But actively stop yourself from comparing yourself to classmates, whether that's study habits, grades, jobs. It literally brings no value. It doesn't, trust me, I have gone down the rabbit hole so many times of comparing myself to classmates. It didn't motivate me at all. It didn't make me work any harder. I already work really hard. I already think I have my study habits pretty tuned in for what I need. And it didn't motivate me at all. It just made me nervous and insecure, and it was just so unproductive. Maybe a better version of this tip is you will compare yourself, so develop a plan to stop when you notice yourself doing it, because to just say don't do it, you're going to. Law school is really intimidating and scary, and all they do is compare you. So find a mechanism to stop. For me, it's usually to just go do something that's unique to me. So that kind of goes back to my other tip about not losing your identity and your hobbies and things like that. So that's something that's helped me. If I am getting really bad about the comparison thing or whatever, I'll go start editing a vlog because I like YouTube, and that's something that makes me happy and just reminds me of things that are unique to me and things that I'm proud of, and yeah, are just individual and have nothing to do with anyone else. So that's a tip maybe if you need a way to get out of it. And everyone in law school is working towards different goals anyways. You don't know what other people's goals are, they don't know yours. Comparing, it's all apples to oranges, no matter how you spin it, so pretty pointless. Okay, and then my final tip is just to remember that success looks different on different people. There's a hair on my lip. Just remember that success looks different on everyone, and there's so many different versions of being a successful lawyer or law school graduate if actually practicing law isn't what you want to do with your JD. Like, there's just so many different versions. And just keep that in mind. I'm the first lawyer in my immediate family, so it was kind of easy for me at the beginning to just sort of follow what career services told me was a successful lawyer or graduate. And in most schools, that's going to be big law. And career services has their reasons for, you know, recommending that, and I'm sure you can think of some. And I'm not saying career services is bad. They're a great resource, especially if you do want to do big law. But just remember that that's not everything. You know, whatever your goals are, go for them, and don't let other people's versions of success shift yours. For me personally, I didn't really know what type of law I wanted to practice going in. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so it's been super helpful to clerk as a 1L, as I said earlier. And this summer I split my time between 2 different jobs, which was helpful because I just got to expand my horizons and see what happy working lawyers look like in different settings. And then once you do identify what it is that your goal is, and I'm still working on that myself, I'm not sure, but once you figure it out, don't let anyone's version of success or what they're after cloud yours or make you feel like you need to shift, because you don't. There's so many different versions of success in life, not just in law. So those are the 6 things I learned during my 1L year. Actually, most of them I didn't learn until after it was over, and then I was kind of reflecting. But anyways, thanks so much for watching this video. And again, just remember that this is 100% my opinion. I'm not a counselor of any sort. I'm just a girl who finished her first year of law school and is on to her second, and these are things I wish I knew. So these are totally my opinions. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video, which will probably be back to vlogging. Thanks.